What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and this video, we got to talk about some huge names from Bend Studio leaving Sony Bend. I always call them Bend Studios. That's originally what they were called. This goes back. These people have been with this studio for a very long time. I want to talk about who's leaving, who actually already left, but more or less have a discussion on the future of the studio. Should we be worried? Could they handle something like this? So basically, John Garvin and Jeff Ross both left. Now, these guys were absolutely massive, just in general. John Garvin was like the head writer, and Jeff Ross was actually the game director. So they lost two of probably, I would say, the top two, maybe two out of the top three. Honestly, I would say the top two people that work at the studio. So John Garvin has been gone actually for a year. He said that he recently, I think on December 1st, he sent out a Twitter post and he said, hey, I haven't been there in forever, for a very long time. He's doing his own thing. He's basically, in my opinion, he's kind of doing the Bruce Straley route. Remember Bruce Straley from Naughty Dog, how after Uncharted 4, he just stopped. He left the gaming industry pretty much altogether, which is obviously, by the way, I'm not going to attack these people for doing what they feel they need to do in their lives. That's awesome, right? I want everybody to be happy and do their own thing. So if they were burnt out or they just want to do different things altogether, more power to them. I'm just saying that kind of what he's doing. He said he's publishing art and other painting, writing, publishing, those things. That to me kind of sounds like what Bruce Straley did. And then Jeff Ross, this is his last week at Bend Studio or Sony Bend, whichever one, and he's going to be moving to Chicago once the stuff around the world calms down. Now, other people on Twitter were kind of suggesting maybe he's going to NetherRealm. NetherRealm is based in Chicago, so that could be a possibility there. It doesn't matter really where he goes, although he's going to be, he's a pretty high-profile name. So if he goes somewhere, I would assume we should keep our eyes on whatever project he's attached to, right? So it's big. Again, it reminds me of Bruce Straley. I think that that's kind of a conflicting thing. So, the question that I have, right, is, can they handle this loss? So they've basically been without their main creative lead for a year. So whatever they've been doing, obviously they've been working on it with a different person, okay, or with a different, maybe team altogether. Now they're losing their game director. So hopefully they had somebody, maybe they were grooming behind the scenes to do that. I really hope that was the case. Now again, because it's been a year and they've, nothing that we've heard has been all that bad, I assume that's okay. Now we'll have to see how they do with without Jeff Ross. Now again, I was going to compare it to Naughty Dog. The thing with Naughty Dog is this. The Last of Us Part 2 was an interesting one, right? Not everybody loved it, and a lot of the hate for that game could probably be directed at Neil Druckmann. Now, again, I'm not saying to do threats or stuff like that. I mean, obviously not. But a lot of it kind of comes back to him, the creative choices he made. And the question that a lot of people ask, and it's actually a question that I've asked, I don't actually see that many people asking, is maybe Bruce Straley was actually and I think he always was, by the way, but maybe he was even more important to that studio than we thought. For those that were disappointed with The Last of Us Part 2, well, again, Neil Druckmann is the creative director. Bruce Straley was the game director. So Bruce Straley, he worked literally with the team that was creating the game, but he also worked with Neil Druckmann to try and find the best blend between, what was going on in the game and then as well as the story that Neil wanted to tell. And that worked really well with The Last of Us. So they both did The Last of Us together and they both did Uncharted 4 together. And I would say it worked pretty darn well in both of those attempts. Okay, now both of them were always with the studio. They helped with Uncharted 2, helped with Uncharted 3. So they've been there for a long time. But, after Last of Us Part 2 came out, that was something that I even started floating around where it's maybe Bruce Straley kind of reeling Neil in. Maybe that's sorely missed, okay? So I'm not saying that's going to be the case here. Now all of a sudden somebody's going to take the reins and go in a direction that nobody wants. But, I think the impact of not having somebody as talented as Bruce Straley has impacted Naughty Dog. Whether they want to admit it or not, I would go so far as to say not having Bruce Straley has done something there. Now, again, in a lot of regards, and I know not everybody loved The Last of Us Part 2, but in a lot of regards, Naughty Dog, I would still say, is the top studio in multiple ways. I mean, yes, the decisions they made story-wise were questionable, and not everybody loved it, but some people did. So you have to say that. Graphically, game design wise, I mean, there is a lot, the acting and performances and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they are literally kings at, okay? And that really hasn't changed all that much. So that's important to note. And for Days Gone, you know, it's not, what I'll say about Days Gone is it's not like we're talking about the most perfect game to begin with. Days Gone wasn't like The Last of Us, you know what I mean? And then like The Last of Us Part 2, we were all expecting something at least equal to it, maybe even more, which is a very high bar. Days Gone, you know, I'm not saying it's a bad game, by the way, because I actually did enjoy it in the time I played it, and I didn't play it all the way through. Maybe it's one of my biggest gaming sins. I didn't play it all the way through, but I think it's got quite a following, and I think that over time more and more people have come to respect it, even people that maybe didn't like in the beginning. I think this is a game that a lot of people are, you know, realizing that's actually pretty darn good, and especially when you get like deeper in the game becomes just something entirely else. You see people saying like it's I saw an article that said like Days Gone is the best PS5 game in terms of like what the system does for like the older games. So I mean, like, it still has a passionate fan base. They are most definitely, I would say, working on Days Gone too. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, and it's interesting because these are two guys that, I mean, well, they've been there for a very, very, very long time, okay? And they're responsible for some pretty big things. So, you know, I wish them all the best. I don't think they're watching. I would never expect people of this quality or this stature in the business to watch my videos. But I truly do wish them the best, and I hope that the studio is okay. You know, again, I think it's sad that you kind of have to talk about it like that, but in reality, I think it's kind of just like anything else. You know, when you have just any company and like higher up people, or even just a store, if like a store manager, if you work at like even a Walmart, you work at Walmart and your store manager leaves, I mean, that does change things. It just flat out, it changes things for all the people there, and it may like all the workers, and it may change things even for the consumers because of maybe how different people do different things now under like new management, all that kind of stuff. You go to the gaming industry, I mean, yeah, when you have people that are in charge, like leads or or like directors, they have director in their title or anything like that, when they have that kind of name to them, I mean, and you replace them or they leave or whatever, I mean, flat out things are going to change, and you're not guaranteed, I guess, the same like familiarity that you had in the past. So Days Gone 2, I honestly would expect to be pretty darn different, especially when you lose people like this. Now, again, you have people, I'm not saying like it's going to be like a literal different game. You have people in the background. You're always kind of grooming people, or at least you should be. I would think in the gaming industry, you always want kind of people moving up the ranks in case things like this happen. And so hopefully it's fine. I am very excited for the day that we get to see a Days Gone 2. I can't imagine it's really all that far out. It's actually a future game that I would say almost nobody talks about. But in reality, I mean, it's almost been 3 years since Days Gone. So I would expect it, honestly, relatively soon, at least an announcement for it. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think that these guys leaving are going to impact the game in like a major way? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. And I do a brand new video every single day on this channel. And so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.